This is The Current Buzz, a podcast powered by Oklahoma Electric Cooperative and OEC Fiber,
dedicated to teaching you what makes us different.
Welcome to another episode of The Current Buzz. You're catching us remotely today as we transition to our new office spaces coming to a headquarters near you. We are remodeling the OEC and OEC Fiber headquarters here in Norman, and we have a really special guest for you today, coming back, I think, for his second or maybe even third appearance on The Current Buzz. We have Daniel Laughlin, who's our energy efficiency specialist. Welcome to the show, Daniel.
Thanks for having me back again.
So we talk a lot about energy efficiency during the summer. It's hotter. People are more accustomed to having higher bills there. But it is a little bit different in the winter. Before we get into that, Daniel, tell us a little bit about your background, what you do here at OEC, and some of your certifications.
Yeah, so I've been at the co-op almost 15 years now. It's crazy to say that still. I spent my first 8 in the field as a lineman. And then I've been now in the marketing department for, maybe 6.5 years, something like that. So I manage the energy efficiency programs, which is like rebates, solar garden tours, EVs. I answer some DG questions, energy audits. Also manage our live line trailer, which is go around and teach first responders and kids about the dangers of electricity. Kind of a broad spectrum of random things I take on, but it's fun.
Well, and one of my favorite things about you is anytime we are going to roll out any new idea of efficiency or anything like that, before you do it, you test run it at your house. So you've test run. What are some of the things you've done at your house to recommend to the members?
So I've done the programmable thermostats. I've done a water heater timer. I've gone as far as rain collection for watering my gardens versus using a pump to push water to them. I have built lean-tos to cover sides of the house to shade them to lower my son's room temperature in his room. Anything I can to save energy. My family, I'm sure, loves that, but I'll be the guinea pig any day.
So talk to us a little bit. Everybody knows in the summer, we want to keep it a little bit warmer in our house so that we can conserve energy. What are some tips for winter energy efficiency?
Yeah, so summertime, it's all about, blocking the sun, keeping that heat source out. In the winter, it's the opposite. Let's open the blinds, open the curtains. That sunlight coming in the house, hitting the floor, hitting a table, whatever it's hitting is going to heat up that object, help heat that room. And honestly, the benefits of the heat also are added to just, the natural light in the house makes the house look better, in my opinion. But yeah, we just want to let the heat in. We want to keep all the cold air out. So we want to seal up windows. That kind of goes year round.
Well, so this is actually a perfect lead in to what are some of the tools we offer to our members to do if they're not just listening to this podcast and scribbling notes really fast. What are some ways that they can help learn more about energy efficiency, and how can we support them in that?
Yeah, so we have quite a few tools at their disposal. We have the energy audits where you can go online, sign up for a home energy audit. We come out, or third party comes out for site building performance, and they do a blower door on your test, or a blower door test on your house. What this does is create a negative pressure inside your home, and it pulls air on every surface of the house. And so then you can walk around and feel where air is infiltrating your home at. That air getting in when that fan is blowing is still getting in when that fan's not on. So what you're doing is making your air conditioner turn over that air or heat or cool that same air that's been escaping the house the whole time. They get up and check attic insulation levels, make sure they're within code. They also do a pressurization test on your ducting to make sure your ducting is connected solely to the inside of the home and not also to the outside, whether it be a boots come loose or whatever. We have an online energy audit tool. So if you're not an in-person kind of person, you can go online, put in all the info on your house, your HVAC systems, your appliances, and that sort of thing, and it will calculate what your house should be using versus other homes like it. We have rebates available. We have energy usage monitoring on our app. You can go there and monitor your daily usage and see when things are spiking and, hey, something's going on. What did I do different? Or maybe something, outside the house is broken, like a water line could make your pump run 24/7. We have different rate options. We just have a very knowledgeable team too. So if you ever have any questions and those resources aren't kicking it for you, call us and they can either answer them or send them to me and maybe I can help figure it out.
I love it. And that comes with a BPI certified advice and building performance. Remind me what that stands for, Daniel.
Yeah, so I'm a BPI certified building analyst professional. Basically, I'm trained to do energy audits and I understand the house's systems and how they work together to then help better assess what's going on in your home.
Now, Kayla fancies herself a bit of a DIYer. She has gotten into carpentry and has made her own cabinets. I'm not making any of this up. You laugh. Have you tried to utilize any of these techniques at your house, Kayla?
That's a great question. And I was actually going to bring up windows because windows are something that is high on my list. I know at our home was built in 1980. So the windows, some of them are a little bit more rattlier, I guess, if that's a word, than others. But I did see recently, Daniel and I have a mutual friend on Facebook who was asking about windows, and it piqued my interest because it's something that, again, is at the top of my list for our own home. And Daniel and Autumn were both talking about how many resources we have here and how knowledgeable our people are. And I don't want to at all kind of get through this without acknowledging Daniel's wealth of knowledge because he has so much information. And I feel like I always learn something talking to him about home efficiency, the programs that we have, and different ways to conserve energy and better use the energy you're going to use anyways in your home. So Daniel, can you talk to us a little bit about windows and the effect that windows have in all of this? And when is it right to replace windows versus maybe just sealing up the ones you have better?
I actually would love to talk about Windows. This is something I think a lot of members possibly get taken advantage of. Windows, obviously, they have 10 different kinds of windows: double pane, triple pane, gas, non-gas, wood frame, metal frame. I mean, there's tons of windows out there. I don't think it's ever a great idea to change out windows if the only thought is to save energy. So windows only can affect your heating and cooling load of your bill. Your heating and cooling load is roughly 50% of your bill. Windows affect about 20% of that. So in essence, about 10% of your actual bill. If you were to buy a window that's twice as efficient as the ones before, you're now saving 5% on your electric bill. On a $200 electric bill, that's $10 that month, changing that window out. Window replacements can cost upwards of $20,000 to $30,000 to $40,000. I'm not going to do the math on this podcast, but $10 a month savings takes a long time to pay off those windows. Now, the caveat to this is if the window is cracked, right? If it doesn't match your aesthetics, if there's some other reason you want to change those windows, I'm not going to stop you. I just don't want you to go into it thinking, man, I'm going to save. They're going to tell you you're going to save 20% of your electric bills. You're saving 20% of your heating and cooling, and it's only half of that. The math just doesn't work out. Really, the best thing to do is where your window meets your sheetrock, where your window meets your sill, recaulk all of that. Glass itself is not drafty. People say the windows are drafty. It's typically some seam along the edges where air's getting in. I just recommend sealing those up, and you should be good.
So awesome. Thank you for that. Sorry, Autumn, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I think that's another great plug for the home energy audit that we can come out and do. Because when you're talking about the pressurizing and the fan situation, that is the exact kind of draft that will be kind of pointed out in that, right?
Absolutely. And so in my train of thought with this is houses breathe, right? They're not sealed perfectly. If you seal them perfectly, we have to bring in ventilation. Typically, a house is meant to breathe. And so a lot of times when we do our blower door, we'll feel air coming in at windows, we'll feel air coming in the doors. But my train of thought is the outside air outside the side of your home is much better air than your attic air or a basement air. So we'd rather seal up your top plate, seal up anything that goes into the attic, a return plenum, something like that, just bringing in that musky, dirty air from the attic. And the ones from your windows and doors are some of the best air to make it into the house.
So Daniel, that's actually a perfect lead in to what are some of the most costly mistakes you see people make when it comes to energy efficiency?
Well, this time of year, it's obvious the space heater. Everybody feels like they need to turn one on to make the room more comfortable, and they just use a ton of electricity. So those are about 1,500 watts, which is about 1.5 kW an hour. If you were to do the math on a space heater running 24 hours a day for a month, it could add $100 to your electric bill. And that's a crazy number. If electric bills are $200 to $300, if you had one running and it literally increased it by half or 100%, that's insane to me. So that's the biggest one. Blankets and cover up of some sort. Even a heated blanket, I think uses like 17 watts or something crazy low compared to a space heater. So get an electric blanket if you want to keep your body warm, but don't have to try to heat a whole room up with a space heater.
What else do we need to know? Kayla, what other questions do you have? Daniel, what do we need to know when we have the expert right here in front of us?
So energy efficiency is the use of less energy to perform the same task. For me, the biggest energy efficiency device in a home would be a heat pump. So typically your older homes have strip heating or electric resistance heating, which is essentially 20 hair dryers being turned on at one time to heat your house. They are what we consider 100% efficient in that 100% of the energy created for heat makes it into the home. There's no flue like in a gas furnace or a fireplace. A heat pump is actually just moving heat from one area to another. So it's not creating the heat. So it's taking heat from the outside air and pumping it into the home. And it can do that with about a third of the energy. So it's about 3 times as efficient to use a heat pump as electric resistance heating. So if you're talking energy efficiency, we can do the same task with a heat pump with a third of the energy of electric resistance heating. So that, in essence, is the best description of energy efficiency.
As you talk about that, Daniel, I recently, over Black Friday, I purchased some smart plugs for my home. So I've been working on the smart home situation. I think that's kind of an ever evolving thing for people who are interested in that sort of deal. But I've added a couple of smart plugs in a couple of strategic spots. And one of the coolest features I've found, outside of being able to tell Alexa to turn my light on or off, is that it tracks how much energy is being used in that outlet by that device. Can you talk about how we can understand what our top consumers are in our homes so that we can be better aware of what energy is being consumed?
Yeah, so I've seen those plugs. I have some of them myself. One thing to think about, some of your bigger users in your home don't plug into 110. So your dryer, that stuff is going to run on 240. But you could put them in behind your fridge. You could put them into your space heater. You could put them on some different appliances and see real time just how much that thing uses. You could also use that to kind of see, hey, my refrigerator was using X wattage and now it's increased. There could be something going on, whether the coil is now clogged up, you need to clean the coil. But seeing how hard a device is running can give you clues into something could be going wrong with that device. But I think it's a good idea just to plug them in, and maybe for this time of year, Christmas, right? Christmas lights are up. So you could use those to put your lights on a timer. Your Christmas lights don't need to run 14 hours a day if you're asleep, in my opinion. So I turn mine off at 10 o'clock. So you could use those to put things on timers, which decreases energy usage.
Fantastic. Anything else you want to add?
I don't think so, man. Just if they have any questions regarding anything, I mean, I answer questions on instant hot water heaters and my thoughts on those. They have electric ones out there which are terrible, but yeah, if anybody has questions for me, give me a shout.
Well, Daniel, you are always a wealth of information. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks.
You can find us at okcoop.org and oecfiber.com.
Make sure to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.